Right then, I think we need to talk about Willy Kambwala. After he started against Liverpool at the age of just 19, he looked genuinely like one of the best players on the pitch. And I'm not talking just wibble, the like Ollie Holt is trying to write about Kwanzaa, comparing his performance against United, where I don't even think he was Liverpool's best player, let alone Roy Keane-esque in Turin. Yeah, Ollie Holt said that. I hope someone's checking on him. But I want to talk about Willy Kambwala because for me, that was a performance that I don't think any of us expected. Now, there was no pressure on him, which is an excellent place to be as a youngster. But what more praise do you want on a young player than coming through the first team and the fact that you looked like one of the better players on the pitch versus Liverpool in a game of that magnitude, the biggest game in English football? He really set people talking after that performance on Sunday, and I think it was for good reason. He was aggressive, he was intelligent, and this is the big compliment. He looks every single bit a Manchester United player. He was diving into tackles, he was keeping his challengers in check. He was up against someone that, I've heard Rio talk about Nunez being an absolute nightmare to play against as a centre-half. And Nunez went and tried to stand on him, thinking, this young, inexperienced kid, I'll deal with him, no dramas. And there was dramas. He didn't deal with him in the slightest. Kambwala rose to the challenge. He got on the front foot, and he showed a real conviction that made him look at home in the toughest game in English football. Now, he stepped up. Could he potentially be back up to Varane or, let's be real with ourselves here, whoever replaces Varane in the summer? So there are a lot of physical qualities to like in a centre-half that Kambwala possesses. He is tall, he is strong, he is quick. That recovery pace is reminiscent of a young Rafael Varane, actually, and he displayed that in abundance against one of the quickest forwards in the league in Darwin Nunez. Some United selections have been unorthodox this year, especially when you're comparing our very, very inconsistent 11. And we could talk about a lot about the defence, actually. Varane and Evans have been more or less nailed on to leave. Maguire is up in the air, Lindelof is up in the air, and Martinez being a bit of an unknown quantity with injuries as well. But there's nobody, I don't think, thinking, one, that Kambwala is the finished product, but his experience has to have given him the opportunity to have a chance, I think. It's where does he go from here? Because there is an opportunity, a real opportunity. We have a lot of injured centre-halves, so I think he's going to get more opportunities before the end of the season. I would expect some up and downs because that's what you get with centre-halves. They rely a lot on experience, and you have to go through and build that. And I have no idea what his ceiling is. Is it Premier League centre-half, which is no bad thing? Or is it Manchester United centre-half? Because those two things should be different. The next 6 Premier League games that United have got, we have got Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Arsenal and Brighton. And there's a lot of room for Kambwala to play in there. Some games that are easier on paper for him to stick his teeth into. Some games that are going to have a little bit less riding on the line. And then we've got the FA Cup run. I think Kambwala's been a nice little sort of side dish to the main menu course that has come through. That wasn't written. That was not deliberate. Sorry, that was shit when it was a bad dad joke. I think it's a nice little sort of surprise package that's come through. If one academy player a year comes through, you are absolutely outstripping every other academy in the country because that just doesn't happen. Those are unheard of numbers. So for United to have potentially 2 emerge in one season, yes, we've had to deal a lot with injuries, but these are the opportunities that youngsters have to thrive on. Not really do you see youngsters given opportunities. They have to go and take them. And I think Mainoo's taken his. Both hands, tucked it under his arm and ran with it. What we need to see now is whether or not Willy Kambwala has actually got the stuff to play for Manchester United. He's looked really good so far. But in those first 3, 4, 5 games, we have seen a lot of youngsters look good. I mean, Makeda, if you'd have watched Makeda in his first 3 or 4 games and said, right, cards on the table, where does Makeda finish up now as a player? You'd have been talking about like Wayne Rooney levels probably. The size of him, the bollocks on him to finish the way he did when he came in, all of those things go in your favour. But I think what happens in those games, those first 3 or 4 games of your career, a lot of players show that level of promise. A lot. What really starts to separate is, there's 2 things at play here. One is, are you given those extra opportunities? Because if you're not hitting the mark in training, it's seen before the rest of us get to see it on the pitch. You know, the coaches and the manager are going to spot that before we do. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works. So we're always seeing a lag. You know, Ten Hag might already have his mind made up that Kambwala is the next Varane, or he might have him marked out that he is the next Donald Love. We have no way of knowing, and Ten Hag would never tell you the truth because he's got things that he's trying to work on. But it could be things like build him up to sell him in the summer and get a good fee for him. It could be build him up because he's going to be starting next season in the way that Mainu started this season. We have no way of knowing. But what you will see is a lot of youngsters will glide through those first half a dozen or so matches in the first team on adrenaline alone, on the excitement of being a Manchester United player and the opportunities that that presents. What really starts to separate the wheat from the chaff is when you start to have 12, 14, 15, 16 games, the level where Mainu's at now. I would be shocked for Mainu's career to start doing that from here. Once you get over that half a dozen sort of mark and you're still hitting the same levels, that's your level. You know, it's the first 3 or 4 games where you can surprise people. You'll look at all the debuts from James Wilson to just to anybody. Like the amount of goal-scoring debutants that Manchester United have had down the years, and most of them have ended up playing at Salford or somewhere. You know, it's very easy, I think, to get through your debut in the Premier League. I think it's potentially easy as well to get through against someone like Liverpool because the expectation's low and everyone wants you to succeed. Can you then go and impose yourself in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 games? Because if you can, we know you're legit. So that is the challenge now for Willy Kambwala. Show some consistency and take this spot because the opportunity is right there for you. If you've got the ability, we'll find out. And we'll probably find out before the end of the season. Let me know your thoughts. Will he be another one that swims or will he be another one that sinks? See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.